Impeachment has been a massive failure, and it only gets worse. But now we're seeing more media outlets start to recognize the problem. You're looking at a story here from the Washington Post. Democrats' impeachment obsession is backfiring, saying, indeed, it could prove to be the biggest political blunder in modern times. Dare I say it? The Democrats' impeachment failure will go down in history as a historical failure, a historical blunder. We have this story from The Week. Impeachment is failing. Time for Plan B, where Damon Linker says it's time for censure of the president. We've heard that before. One of the safe blue Democrats in Michigan recently said, I don't know about impeachment. How about Mother Jones, the left-wing outlet? Yep, impeachment is a yawner. It's not moving the needle. Or Al Jazeera, saying Trump is turning political troubles into fundraising gold. It's all right in front of you. The amount of money Trump is raising is historic. You have all of these left-wing outlets saying it has failed. Tucker Carlson, instead of destroying Trump, impeachment appears to have made him stronger, like Godzilla, he says. And now we have some really big news. I got to be careful about how I cover this. But Gordon Sandland, the star witness so far, the one they claimed confirmed quid pro quo, has now been accused of multiple women of impropriety, of doing adult things, and his credibility has been shot. It's not worth anything anymore. Now, he denies this, and some people argue the reason he flipped on Donald Trump, going from defending the president to saying, no, there actually was a quid pro quo, is because he knew the press had this story. But the story came out anyway. I'm not going to entertain any of those conspiracy theories. The fact remains, this guy was their star witness. He was the one person who said, we have a quid pro quo, even though it was just his presumption. Well, now it's come out that several women have accused him of not being a credible individual. So can we really take his testimony at face value if we're learning these horrible things about him? I think the answer is no. So here's what I want to do. We've got some new information, mostly about fundraising and about how this is bad for the Democrats, as per usual. And I want to show you a variety of stories and updates, as well as the success of Donald Trump's epic meme, and just talk about how this will be a historic failure. And we'll start with this Washington Post story. Now, before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's several ways you can give, but the best thing you can do is share this video. It's Thanksgiving. People will be arguing with each other, and maybe this will be, whether or not any of these anti-Trump people want to hear it, maybe they'll listen. And maybe by sharing this with your friends and family on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever else you might share it, people might actually see at least an alternative or some new information they didn't consider. But let me read from you this op-ed from the Washington Post first. This Mark Thiessen says it could prove to be the biggest political blunder in modern times. Now, he goes on to say things that I've already told you, that after weeks of hearings, Democrats have utterly failed to make their case to the American people. When the hearings began, supermajorities agreed the president had done something wrong, but only a minority said his misconduct warranted removal from office. The hearings were supposed to boost support for removal. Instead, most polls show no significant movement in Democrats' favor, while some seem to even moved in Trump's direction. For example, in October, the Quinnipiac poll showed 48% of Americans supported Trump's removal, while 46% were opposed. Today, after the hearings, the reverse is true. So you know what they could have done? The Democrats could have taken their winnings. They were at the gambling table. They said, let's put out this scandal. You know what? That actually worked. It really did. But then they decided to double down. Let me show you something. We'll come back to the story. This is from 538. Now, in reality, right now, this is some good news for Democrats. We can see that when the news about the Ukraine scandal broke, support among independents for impeachment was 33.9. Today, it's at 44.5. That's actually good news for Democrats. But here's the thing. If they took their winnings at the end of October and said, we will not have hearings to impeach the president, we will let the voters decide, they could have left on a high note. But they decided to vote on an inquiry and hold public hearings, and boy, was that a mistake. By pushing forward with it, they could have just accepted the scandal. They had bad news about Trump. They could have left it where it was and taken the win. Instead, they said, let's go for impeachment. And they made people angry, and it actually soured and has dropped several points down to a low of 41, back up to around 44.9, and then down to 44.5. So let me stress, there's some good news for Democrats. I'm not going to say it's all bad, But now I think we're getting into the minutia, for the most part. Because in the end, I think we are going to see a historic defeat in 2020 for moderate Democrats in the congressional races. Let's go back to this story. Mark writes, the failure to increase support for removing Trump is a big problem for the 31 vulnerable Democrats who are spending the Thanksgiving recess back in the Trump districts where they were elected. They won their seats not by advocating impeachment, but by promising to address kitchen table issues. Now they're being barraged by millions in ads calling them out for their failure to do so. At coffee shops and town hall meetings this week, voters are going to ask, what happened to all those promises to lower prescription drug prices, improve infrastructure, and expand trade? Why is nothing getting done? They won't have a good answer because nothing is getting done. And let me tell you, for all of the problems of Mitch McConnell blocking these bills from reaching the Senate, that's totally acceptable, and I accept that. I think it's a great criticism. The Republicans are not clean in this battle. But if the Democrats focused on these issues and told the American people this is what we're doing, at least then they could come to you and say, blame the Republicans, but they can't. They all voted for the impeachment inquiry, except for 2 Democrats, one in New Jersey and one, I believe, in Minnesota. I want to remind you, you hired these Democrats to go and solve issues like your drug prices, like trade, like infrastructure. You hired them. You said, I am going to give you this job, and the money from my taxes will pay you to do that job. And instead of finishing the job, they're arguing amongst themselves about how much they don't like the boss. I don't mean Trump is the boss. I'm using an analogy. Imagine hiring a group of painters, and when they show up, instead of painting, they just complain the whole time about how much they think the foreman should be removed. And you're going to say, listen, I don't know or care. I didn't ask you to do this for these reasons. They say in Washington, the pundit class measured the wall-to-wall impeachment coverage by whether it advanced the case against the president. But in these swing districts, each day's hearings again proved Republicans' point that Democrats are focused on the wrong thing, obsessed with removing the president instead of making progress for working families. Now listen, you may disagree, and that's fine, and it's Thanksgiving, we're going to have disagreements. But I want to show you, TheWeek.com is not right-wing. It is a left-wing publication. It leans left. They even say impeachment is failings. They say it's time for Plan B. Plan B? To censure the president. Well, Mark says it's too late for that. I argued earlier this month, this is what Mark is saying, the smart move for Democrats would be to drop impeachment and censure Trump instead. But now it's too late. Censure today would be seen as a sign of weakness, a signal that Democrat leaders might not be able to muster the votes for impeachment. Indeed, they might not. Only 2 Democrats voted no. You know what they should have done before launching the inquiry? They should have said, we're too close to an election. We see that Trump has done wrong. We will hold him responsible by voting to censure. They would have passed that with flying colors and then said, election is in less than a year. And it's up to you, the voter, to decide based on what you've learned. Instead, they said, we're going to launch an impeachment inquiry. And everyone has conceded it's a yawner, it's a failure, or it's backfiring outright. Impeachment hearings spur Trump campaign fundraising just about a week ago. How the Trump campaign is turning political troubles into fundraising gold. That's right. All they've really done is rallied Trump's base and soured among independents. There are now a large portion of independents who oppose impeachment. You lost that goodwill, that people were willing to listen. You could have gone for censure. That would have worked. I want to show you one thing before I move forward, because I want to show you what Tucker Carlson has to say. This is a tweet from the president, an epic meme. It is an image of Donald Trump as Rocky Balboa. You're probably saying this is ridiculous. Why should I care? You should care because it has 181,000 retweets and 621,000 likes. You've got Blair White, the famed YouTuber, saying greatest of all time. Meanwhile, many people on the left are outraged, shocked. They're calling it bizarre. There's a reason why I show you this. Take a look at this meme that they're sharing over on the Donald subreddit. Here's a Daily Beast article. Trump tweets bizarre picture of his head on Sylvester Stallone. Common Dreams, a left-wing activist site, both sad and funny at a whole new level. Deadline, Donald Trump bizarre Rocky Balboa body swap. New York Post, doctored photo of Rocky Balboa. In the middle, it's Trump laughing, and it says rent-free. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like the president, you're probably thinking, so what? So what? People wrote about him. This is the point. This is another reason why impeachment will go down as a historical blunder. Trump succeeds by living rent-free in your heads. When the Democrats were on the debate stage, and I believe this is what Mark points out, they did not want to talk about impeachment. Here's what Senator Bernie Sanders said. We cannot simply be consumed by Donald Trump, because if we are, you know what? We're going to lose the election. And there it is. Donald Trump posts a silly meme. They call it doctored, bizarre, sad, and funny. That's exactly what Trump wants. Now, impeachment was bad in some ways for the president. Absolutely. The testimony of Gordon Sandland did sound pretty bad for the president, even though he said it was a presumption and never received any orders. That's fine. The point is, are they winning the PR battle? They've taken some steps forward, but several steps back. Trump succeeded in 2016 with press coverage, free press coverage, and the media and the Democrats are addicted to orange man bad. Not only is Trump able to weaponize this to make money, to fundraise, it's making him stronger. It's giving him the press he wants. Tucker Carlson, it's not destroying him, it's making him stronger like Godzilla. He's just getting bigger. Tucker Carlson says, "Big Orange gone forever, banished to Mar-a-Lago, the left back in power, order restored. It'd be like the 2016 election never happened, like it was all a bad dream. That's what Democrats thought they were getting for Christmas this year. Unfortunately for them, Santa got delayed. They're not getting a pony this year, they're getting a bag of hair. Instead of destroying Trump, impeachment appears to have made him even stronger, like Godzilla. It turns out that parading bureaucrats before the cameras to demand that you sent money to Ukraine, shut up, no questions allowed, isn't very effective as a campaign strategy. And as a result, support for impeachment has fallen even among core Democratic voters. And that's true. But here's the shocking takeaway. An Emerson poll released last week found that among African American voters, for example, just 37% now support impeachment. 38% are opposed, while 25% were uncertain, which is itself significant. Meanwhile, in the same poll among white voters, 44% support impeachment. That's not among white Democrats, that's among white voters. He goes on to say that Ana Navarro of CNN was so shocked when she saw the poll, she tweeted, "Zero chance this is accurate, zero. The poll must have been conducted in the homes of Ben Carson, Kanye, that sheriff guy with the hat, and those two cubic zirconia and polyester spandex ladies." That's right. The news is so bad that CNN commentator Ana Navarro believes it must be fake. There's no way this is real. How could it be true that Donald Trump is winning, that support even among minority voters is going down for impeachment? Support for Trump among the minority community is up. They're shocked to see it, and they don't believe it. But I tell you this, according to 538, Emerson is the second most accurate poll out of around 20 or so polls of the top companies that they or organizations that they looked into. Emerson was the second most accurate. Take that into consideration. Look, man, I'm not here to say that Donald Trump was right. I'm not here to say Donald Trump did something wrong. I think most people agree that what Donald Trump did, calling Ukraine and saying, "Hey, do me a favor, look into this, Burisma Biden thing," was inappropriate. It was wrong. But is it impeachable? No. So what happens? The people that you told, "I will fight for you," and then instead you got into an argument with the orange man, those people feel like you lied to them. You let them down. While we can all say, maybe the president should have been making these calls. Look, personally, I think we should investigate the Bidens. You might not agree. That's fine. The point is, Hunter Biden had drugs in his system. He's been found with drugs. He shouldn't be on the board of this company. And even I believe it's Ken Vogel of the New York Times said, basically the reason that Hunter Biden was given this role was because they knew it would help run interference with Joe Biden. Joe should have recused himself. He should have told his son not to do this. And in the end, we are left asking ourselves, why the conflict of interest? And it does need to be looked into. Should Trump have been the one to call Ukraine and say, "Hey, do me a favor"? Absolutely not. Look, whether you think he should or shouldn't, the point is there are departments for this. The DOJ could handle this. Whether or not it's appropriate for him to do, which I don't think he should. I think he should, have other people look into these things. The fact remains, it was bad strategy in the long run. But I guess maybe not. I guess maybe I'm wrong about that. I'll tell you what. In the end, impeachment just spells bad news for Democrats. And it may be leaking out into Congress. Check this out. As I stated, there are these vulnerable Democrats. They're moderates. They were elected in districts that Donald Trump won. Okay? They said they would get you these kitchen table issues, but now they're just playing the orange man bad game. Look at this story from the Daily Caller. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez outraises all House Democrats in third quarter. Now, she's been wishy-washy. I don't know at first she was like, How could we not impeach the president? Then later came out and said, I'm bored with impeachment, but now she's on board with it. I don't know. The point is, she's a celebrity. And she's raised more than all other Democrats. But check this out. Republicans have raised substantially more, nearly double. While no House Democrats outraised Ocasio Cortez, several House Republicans did. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, $3.45 million. They say House Intelligence Committee Ranking Member Devin Nunes, $2.6 million. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, $1.6 million. And Ocasio Cortez, $1.42. There are three Republicans above the top Democrat, the top Democrat in terms of fundraising. And Nunes, McCarthy, and Scalise are nowhere near the level of celebrity that Ocasio Cortez is. She's a celebrity. She's raising money because she has like 5 to 6 million followers. There are people all over the country. These Republicans are not celebrities, they're politicos. And most of you might not even know who Kevin McCarthy is. You may only somewhat be familiar with Nunes or Scalise. Everybody's heard of Ocasio Cortez. So she's raising this money. The Democrats are falling behind. They say the report states that the vast majority of AOC's donations were under $200, indicating strong grassroots support. The 30-year-old firebrand is facing a primary challenge in New York City from council member Fernando Cabrera, who announced his congressional campaign last month. I'm not super concerned about that. It's off topic, but the point, the reason I bring this up is that I think it's fair to say the ripple effect, the backfire, is going to massively benefit Republicans, period. One of the reasons Devin Nunes may have raised as much money as he did, he's been the Republican leader in terms of resisting the impeachment inquiry. Every day when you watch those hearings, it was Adam Schiff and it was Devin Nunes. Elise Stefanik, Republican, also raised a substantial amount of money in a short amount of time. And she was one of the people who raised very important questions, which Republicans were essentially fawning over. But in the end, following all of this, it seems like Donald Trump is going to be walking away the big winner. We have a report now from the New York Times. They say that the upcoming Horowitz report on FISA abuse will discredit Donald Trump's claims about him being spied on. They then go on to say that there actually were some FBI informants meeting with members of his staff, and there was somebody who altered a document. The lead lawyer on the Russia probe altered a document. It seems like, I don't know if Democrats just felt they had no choice but to do this because they knew how bad it was about to get. I don't know what their plan was. But like I said earlier, man, after the Ukraine scandal broke, they could have walked away. And they could have just taken the high road and said, look, you heard the bad news. Don't listen to us. That came from the press. And now we'll censure the president. Nope. Too late now. And in the end, it's just going to end up with Trump, I guess, taking the cake. But I will show you one more thing. I think I have this story right here. From BuzzFeed. 12 impeachment conspiracies you're likely to hear about at Thanksgiving. I'm going to add this in to the back end of this video just because it's Thanksgiving. Many of you may be watching this, and I want to clear something up because Ryan Broderick, who has published a few fake stories recently targeting Trump supporters, has published this story saying, pull this up on your phone before you start arguing at the dinner table this year. And in the event someone actually does, I would like to correct some of his misleading reporting. Now, Ryan recently reported that a legitimate meme among Trump supporters was bots. And then it turned out later, for some reason he published the story, Twitter confirmed, no, that's not true. But there's just 12 quick things I'll go through. First, he says Ukraine, not Russia, meddled in the 2016 election. This is a trick. This is a trick to make people believe that Ukraine did not meddle in the 2016 election, which they did. Russia also did, and Russia did substantially more than Ukraine. The fact remains that individuals in Ukraine, some working with the government and some high-profile personalities, were acting in concert with Americans to harm Donald Trump, notably Alexander Chalupa. What he does here is he says the conspiracy is that Ukrainians hacked the DNC server, not Russia. Okay, well, that's a more extreme version of the conspiracy theory. It has been mentioned to an extent, like inferred to upon by Donald Trump, which would be incorrect. But anybody who says Ukrainians did not meddle is wrong. They did. That reporting has been confirmed by The Hill. Ukrainian embassy confirms DNC contractor solicited Trump dirt in 2016. Next, where's the missing server? Well, this is much less relevant. That they believe it's in Ukraine. I don't believe we have any information as of right now confirmed to prove that. Now, I'm not saying this entire report is wrong. Ukrainians run CrowdStrike, as far as we know, is not true. This is, Broderick of BuzzFeed is correct. It's run by somebody who is Russian-born that lives in the United States. CrowdStrike helped the DNC frame Russia. I think this one's irrelevant. Again, not confirmed. The FBI and Obama spied on the Trump campaign. Fact. Now, he will tell you it's a conspiracy, but in reality, it's true. They're playing a semantic game here. Paul Manafort was being spied on, I believe, in Trump Tower. And according to the New York Times, the upcoming Horowitz report will show us that there was an FBI informant, an undercover agent, who were meeting with Trump campaign staff. So yeah, it's a matter of semantics. They're going to take a more extreme view, as if like the FBI literally planted something inside Trump's lapel to spy on him, when in reality it was, yeah, there were law enforcement agencies in secret communication with Trump, individuals on his campaign to gain information. And yes, an individual solicited dirt working on behalf of the DNC as a consultant to harm Paul Manafort, and he's in prison. That's where we go. Chalupa colluded with the Ukrainian embassy. Well, as I mentioned, that was confirmed by The Hill, a Politico report. They're trying to discredit it, saying it's a he said, she said. John Solomon proved there was Ukrainian collusion. John Solomon provided several sworn affidavits from Ukraine. You can choose not to believe them. Proved is a hard thing to say. Once again, semantic games here. The reality is John Solomon provided reporting which corroborates the idea that Ukraine was adamantly opposed to Trump, and there were several instances where either they accused Biden of being corrupt or of, DNC consultants colluding. So they're going to try and claim, and they've been trying it for a long time, conservative journalist John Solomon. Sorry, the dude worked for the AP for like 20 years. The Democrats are breaking impeachment rules is also false, but it's a technicality. See, the issue is the Democrats voted on a resolution, and that resolution gave them the power because they control the Senate. They control the House. They have the most votes. So they created the rules. The Republicans were not allowed to change them. So no, they're not breaking the rules. They have the majority. They can do this. So that's something Republicans need to accept as well. We all know who the whistleblower is. And he says it's not true. He says BuzzFeed doesn't. But the reality is we, beyond a reasonable doubt, believe we know who this person is. I can't say the name. YouTube will ban this video. But the reality is the career history of the individual, the whistleblower, was outed by the New York Times. That's how we know this person was. They said, basically, it reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where Principal Skinner says, a certain individual brought this to our attention. Her name is L. Simpson. Nope, that's too obvious. Let's call her Lisa S. And then everyone was like, they knew who it was. The New York Times released so much information, people easily said, like a game of Sudoku, it must be this individual. So from then on, people said, behind the scenes in politics, this is the name everyone knows. And it was reported by real clear investigations that this is the name that fits the bill. Can I say that we know definitively, we've seen the documents? No, we haven't. But everybody knows to a certain degree in the sense that we believe beyond a reasonable doubt we know who this person is. Do we know definitively? No, not really. But it's important to avoid these misleading semantic games, and that's what they do. The head of Burisma was indicted over money laundering related to the Bidens. So he does actually get into the left, arguing for conspiracy theories and supporting conspiracy theories. The head of Burisma was cleared of all wrongdoing after Joe Biden came in and got rid of Victor Shokin, who was the prosecutor they didn't like. The new guy comes in and clears Zlochevsky, the co-founder of Burisma, of wrongdoing, essentially helping Hunter Biden. And therein lies the big problem. Now, coming into 2018, they are going to be looking into Zlochevsky, but they don't know where he is. And then he says, no one is watching impeachment. Yes, no one, that's just hyperbole. Ratings are way, way down across the board from the hearings of Russiagate. Yes, ratings are down, but it's been great. It's been a great windfall for media. He says, here's one for your MAGA uncle. Russian trolls turned people into Trump voters. Russian trolls are fake news. Here we have a story from Technology Review. A Russian troll farm may not have been very good at its job. BuzzFeed and several other outlets have reported the Russia bot stuff is not reality. I'm sorry, it's just not true. And based on my expertise, I would say, if anything, the big story we have is that an organization called New Knowledge was implicated when their CEO launched a fake bot campaign to swing the Alabama governor election. And that happened. You look it up, show people. He was, I can't remember his name, Jonathan Morgan maybe. New Knowledge was the company. They were Democratic operatives, and he got banned from Facebook when they found out he made fake profiles with Russian names and bios, try to make it look like Russia was supporting Roy Moore in Alabama, and it was fake news. I'll leave it there. I'll wrap it up. I don't want to go too much into the Thanksgiving stuff. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy your turkey and your cranberry sauce and your stuffing and all that, or whatever it is you're doing. I know, not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, but there you have it. It's a special Thanksgiving episode of, while you're all enjoying yourself, we can rest knowing that impeachment will likely go down as a historical blunder, having helped Donald Trump. And in the end, it looks like the news is going to be breaking in the next couple weeks or so that there actually was wrongdoing targeting Trump's campaign. Will it be as severe as Trump supporters think it'll be? Probably not, but we'll get something out of it. I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at youtube.com/TimCastNews at 6 p.m. It is a different channel. I will see you there.